Welcome back to another episode of the Auto Accident Attorneys Podcast. I'm your host, Attorney Ali, brought to you by the Auto Accident Attorneys Group, where we take care of you. Today, I'm joined by my sister, Attorney Holly.
Hello, hello.
She's back again, a listener's favorite guest, specifically our mother's favorite guest.
You got to stop bringing her up. She thinks you're making fun of her.
Did she say anything?
She did.
Why does he keep talking about me? Because I love you, Mom, and I appreciate your views. Now, if you could like and comment and subscribe, it'd be even better. I have Holly on the podcast today because I wanted to talk about injuries and pain and how that relates to not just auto accidents, but life in general. And the reason for that is because you almost didn't make it into the office today.
Oh my God, I threw out my back yesterday. Also, I just want to point out, I look like a head chef today. Shout out Madewell. But yeah, I threw out my back yesterday putting on pants. This is 36. I turned 36, a week ago? This is what it has to give me?
Very athletic. Happy birthday, by the way. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Did I get you a card?
You did. It was actually very nice. I might be the first birthday card note that you'd written me since I was 10.
Ooh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
That can't be true, though.
Huh?
Maybe. I've texted you before that.
It's an exaggeration.
Well, speaking of pain and the heartache and not receiving. So you threw out your back.
Yeah.
I was going to bring over a TENS unit for you. You didn't use that, but tell me what's going on. Like as if I'm a doctor, but I just want to kind of
I know. This. Yeah, so basically I was pulling up my pants. I had felt tight in my upper back, trapped neck area. You said athletic. I have been trying to work out, but it had been a long time. So I'm back in the gym after a long hiatus. So I think my body just hadn't quite warmed up or I hadn't been stretching well. So all it took was that one pair of pants to knock me on my ass. And I ended up just laying in bed all day yesterday. And it was one of those things where you're like, I can't turn this way, that way. And so I was just doing ice and heat back and forth. And it lasted, it still hurts, but I'm obviously here. I'm a lot more mobile than yesterday. But even in that few first hours, I was crying like I'd have had a lifetime of chronic pain. And I was like, I can't take this. I can't live this way.
And this is, first off, that was just one day.
Yeah.
And this is off of bending over to pull pants up. I think that's a critical point to highlight because sometimes you see rear end accidents, especially. A lot of times it's when they're in a turn lane. And so you're turning your neck to look to the left.
I was thinking about that on the drive here because I was like, okay, I need to go into the office today, but just drive very carefully. So the whole time I'm thinking to myself, if someone hits me, especially as I was checking the turn lane, I was like, I don't know if I'm well, am I going to die? Can you die of pain? And I also was like, how would that affect my case? Because let me back up a second. You were talking about how a simple putting on the pants can injure you. And now imagine you're rear-ended at 35 miles plus an hour. I haven't been in very many car accidents, knock on wood. And so sometimes I forget the amount of impact, the little amount of impact it takes to really feel it in the car. I'm a great driver, but every now and then I'll hit the curb. And that happened recently.
You said
great driver, but I hit the curb recently and it wasn't even that hard, or I wasn't going that fast, and the car felt like it shook, and I was like, oh my God. I was reminded of what it would be like to be hit even at a slow pace. And then I started thinking about people who are hit when they're going full speed, and I can't even imagine that.
Well, if you were hit, technically it's a pre-existing condition because you were in pain before, but you're also going to be treated, we would argue, you were talking about it earlier.
Yeah, the eggshell plaintiff theory, which we learned in law school, which is you take your plaintiff as they are.
Yep.
So if they're fragile, like an egg, and you shatter them.
That's exactly what the namesake is after, right. Eggshell plaintiff. Let's say, it reminds me of Mr. Glass, So let's
Mhm.
say somebody is driving and they rear end, it's just a bumper tap. It's a super, super low tap, but it's Mr. Glass sitting in the back seat in the car in front, and he just shatters.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I only hit him at like, I just took my foot off of the brake and I rolled forward. Now you take your plaintiff as you find them. If they're sensitive and more susceptible to injury, you're responsible for all those injuries.
Yeah, if somebody hit me today, God, please make it home safe. Knock on wood. If somebody were to hit me today in this state, I'd be like, and they'd probably think I'm faking it because they'd be like, I barely touched you. And I'm like, you don't understand
It's a
the state
bumper
I'm in.
scratch and you immediately like, give me a neck brace.
No, literally, like, get me in the stretcher. I'm not okay.
It's a good thing you're recording this. God forbid if it happens, at least it's documented.
Exactly. We already know.
And actually, now that you're saying it, I feel like before you leave the office, you should call your carrier and increase both your med pay and your underinsured motorist protection to the maximum limits just for the next 24
No,
hours.
I'm good. I'm
We're
good.
putting too much of this juju out there.
I'm well covered. We're good.
So, since we're talking about pain, I think one of the most important things that I can express to our listeners is how critical it is that your pain, you do something about your pain. In the legal concept of personal injury, and when you're suing somebody for negligence, there is a proactive duty on plaintiffs to mitigate their damages. So the law requires you to actually, if you're injured, the law requires you to treat. And if you fail to treat and your injury gets worse, after the fact, you could actually be penalized for that. You're supposed to treat and you need to document your injuries. This is an anecdote of literally just this afternoon. We had a client come in, rear end collision, young guy, diagnosed with neck sprain and strain and instability of the cervical spine, but never got an MRI. So he just had about 15 visits to a chiropractor, went from a 7 out of 10 pain scale, discharged at a 1 out of 10 pain scale. We got in excess of whatever his medical expenses were, but his expectations were that because he subjectively was dealing with pain, probably
Mhm.
like what you're dealing with, he's like, well, this is $100,000 case.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it could be technically if you document it. If you're feeling pain, you need to share it with your physician. If one modality isn't working, so he was sharing that he stopped treatment because it stopped working, but he got discharged. He felt awkward about discharging from the chiropractor. So instead of saying, I'm still in pain, this isn't working, I need something else, he said, I only have a 1 out of 10 pain, so that the doctor would discharge her.
Mm.
So now he's
Mm, mm.
medically documented
That
that
is better.
that he's better. And he shot himself in the foot, really. I mean,
Yeah.
he's trying to be nice, but he's not getting his injuries documented appropriately.
Yeah, that's so something I would do. Let's avoid the awkward conversation. I'm fine. I'm fine.
You're squirting blood.
Yeah. No. It's no big deal. Yeah. It comes down to like if you can't just express the words I'm in pain. Like at the end of the day, it's a legal process. You have to show evidence of that pain, and the only way you can show evidence is through doctor's visits. So, yeah, it's really important. And then the other part of that too is if you even have like the slightest bit of pain after an auto accident, forget like the claim and the amount of money that's up for grabs. It's more about take care of yourself because this is
100%.
the opportunity to do that.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people underestimate, like we were saying before, like even a low impact collision, they underestimate the impact it can have on your body. And so I think it's good to just get checked out. I mean, obviously, if you're like, I don't feel anything, a week has passed, that adrenaline has come out of your body and you're feeling fine, okay, you're probably fine.
Yeah.
But if a week has passed and suddenly you're like, oh, I'm starting to feel some aches, go to the doctor, get checked out. Because speaking of a few hours had me so depressed about having chronic pain, that's going to stick with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And if you don't take care of it, it's just going to get worse.
That I appreciate that you were saying, regardless of your case, even if you're at fault, if you're injured, you've got one body.
Yeah.
Pay attention to it, take care of it. We've seen it, right? We've seen family members that didn't address acute injury and it turns into a chronic condition and it snowballs.
Yeah.
It gets worse and worse, especially when it's something that you can get done through physical therapy or chiropractic therapy where it's non-invasive, non-surgical.
Right.
It's like, man, you could have been, maybe you're not 100% better, but by taking that action, you get 50% better. 50% better in a decade, it's going to have an exponential effect on your daily life, like
Yeah.
how you enjoy life, how you feel about yourself, how the activities you're able to do.
Yeah.
It's critical. And for the case, if you are injured and you are getting treated, tell your doctor everything that you're feeling. One thing that I'm sure you've heard me talk about a lot around here is when the clients call me, we've had conversations for several months and they're telling me about how awful the pain is. And then when we get the medical records to start reviewing it to actually submit an offer of settlement to the insurance company, nothing that they've told me is in the records. It's almost as if that they've gotten it off of their chest.
Yes.
They're like, yeah, I know this hurts, that hurts, that hurts. So by the time they get to the doctor's office and the nurse is getting them prepped to see the physician and they're checking in to see how they're doing, they're like, oh, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Because they've told the attorney.
Yeah.
The attorney can't document your injuries.
Right.
If it's medical, you got to tell the medical professionals. I can only use, I tell clients this, my job is nothing more than to be a storyteller, but I can only use the facts that are given to me from your doctors because the story I'm telling is a story of your injury.
Yeah.
So it doesn't help for you to tell me. It helps me so I can understand, but I can't use your subjective symptoms of what you're telling me in the story, the legal story, if you
Right.
will. I have to use what the doctors say.
Yeah. I think it's important for clients to kind of view it as like, okay, imagine you're on the other side and somebody's trying to give you this information. I imagine, especially in this day and age, people require a lot of like fact checking.
Right.
So think of it that way. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, your attorney can tell the insurance company this is what's going on, but then the insurance company is going to be like, okay, where's the evidence of it?
But did you die? That's
And
their.
even if you did, no, that's not funny. Um,
You're absolutely right. I think it really helps in general when you take the perspective, just step back, be like, what is it that I'm trying to accomplish? And then put yourself in the shoes of the other person. So just pretend you're the insurance company. All of a sudden now you're this multi-billion-dollar conglomerate and somebody's like, give me $200,000.
or a jury. Imagine you're a member of a jury and you're listening to a case play out. You know,
You're a
people
jury.
have watched a lot of, I'm sure, what's that show? Law and Order, Suits. Like, there's a basic understanding of how a court process works. So,
Legally, I wanted to get Maddie and Juju to watch Legally Blonde with me. This is off topic, but I told you that Juju watched Carlito's Way.
yes. Her favorite movie, I just said.
Stellar 80s movie. It is Juju's favorite movie. She said she wants to dress up as Carlito for Halloween. One of my favorite things that happened was when the movie ended, I said out loud, I was like, huh, Carlito's Way. I'm reading, after the credits roll and all of that. I just say the name of the movie. Juju, without missing a beat, looks at me and goes, it did not go Carlito's way.
She's so funny.
She is hilarious. If I was half as funny as Juju, I would have stayed in comedy.
Yeah, we would not be here.
I think that with pain, there's so much to get into, but I think for an introductory, a 101, the real message that I wanted to get out there today was that if you are injured or you think you might be injured, one, regardless of your case, get checked out. Two, when you are getting checked out, share with your physician everything that's going on. The sad truth of the matter is that with the way that the healthcare industry in this country is going right now, you will get the best medical attention after an auto accident
Yeah.
because the reimbursement rates for health insurance are nowhere near what the hospitals, we were just talking about the hospitaling.
Yeah, that's an episode in and of itself.
It is.
Yeah. But, for future, we're going to have a guest on who was a former client. She's agreed to talk about her experience and what she went through. And she had a
Nice.
pre-existing condition and was subject to what maybe the insurance company considered a low impact collision,
Mm-hmm.
but it changed her life. And she was well compensated for that, but to this day, she still has trouble. So it's like, it even gets to a point where you're like, thanks for the money, but I'm forever changed.
Yeah.
So
Don't say her name out loud just yet, but give me the initials.
SG.
SG. Okay. I
Yeah.
can't wait to figure this out. All right. Well,
We just talked about it last week.
we can't wait to see you. Oh,
Yeah.
I remember now. Okay. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
That's
that'll
going to
be
be a good
the end of the
episode.
month.
I love her. She's awesome.
Oh, she's great.
And I love her brother and her mother.
Yeah. The whole
The
family.
whole family's fantastic.
Great package there.
You guys are in for a treat. Mom, you're going to love that episode.
Let's make a pact to leave Mom out of this from now on.
I just realized something. We got to come up with a topic to invite Mom onto the podcast.
Oh, man.
She's going to have a lot to say. I'll know that.
Yeah, she sure will.
We should have had her on this podcast. If there's anyone that would be an advocate of patients sharing all of their symptoms
Oh my
with their
gosh.
physicians, it would be Mom.
Or just going to a physician. I remember in high school, she used to drag me out to the doctor's office. Unbeknownst to me, I'd be like, we have an appointment today? She's like, yeah, we got to go get checked out for your problems. I was like, what problems? She's like, you have problems. I'm like, okay. We're sitting in the waiting room. She's trying to fill out the form where it's like, you're listing your problems. And she's asking me, I was like, I told you I don't have any issues. And do you ever get like a random shooting, like pain in your leg? Like, it's just maybe like a muscle situation, And I was like, ow. And she immediately was like, what? Like, nothing. I just got like a little bit like a muscle cramp. Starts writing muscle problems. It's like,
Oh, if Mom didn't like us talking about her on the podcast before, she's going to hate
oh,
this
man.
episode.
I was maintaining that favorite child status, and I'm the one that just told the story.
Yeah.
I love you, Mom.
We both love you. I love you more.
Okay, this is getting weird.
Okay. This may not be the best episode to ask you to subscribe and like, but I do think if you watch at least the middle of this, there's some golden nuggets in there where it's truth telling. And I hope that we can make some social media clips on those pieces in particular, how critically important it is that you share your symptoms of pain, discomfort, how it's affecting your life. A lot of people, we see a lot of rotator cuff injuries and people have a difficult time getting dressed. Did you have a difficult time getting dressed this morning with your back pain?
I had a difficult time getting dressed before my back pain. That's what caused it.
Touche. But did Brian help you get dressed today?
No, he didn't.
I'll move away from that topic.
Yes, this
So-
getting weird.
Well, my point is that sometimes you don't think to share that piece of information
Mhm.
with your physician to be like, yeah, it's winter and I'm wearing a button up, but if it's winter and I'm just wearing sweaters, like it's really difficult for me to put my arms up and get a sweater over my head. Patients may not think to share that piece of information with their physician. That is a critical piece of information. We've
Yeah.
gotten tens of thousands of dollars of value on a case on that one fact before.
Yeah, I think people need to think about when you're in an accident, every little detail matters about how that accident and that injury affected your life. And you're talking about the clients of kind of venting to you and getting it off their chest about what's going on. And then once they get to the doctor's office, they don't share any of that. Document it. Like make a note in your phone. Okay, today I had trouble putting on my sweater. Keep that running list so that, because that happens to me all the time where in that moment, yes, I understand that it's affecting my life. And then I'll forget about it like 2 hours later when I'm doing
Yep.
something else.
This is important. It's not because I don't want somebody to get the wrong idea that we're sharing these things to be like, oh, like this is how you nickel and dime the insurance company. That's not it at all. This is how you get fair compensation for your injuries. You have to be able to tell your story. It's not going to be good. Unfortunately, if the world was fair, you could just say I'm hurt and you get compensated. But the world isn't like that. When you say I'm hurt, you need to be very specific. You need to be able to document what is hurting, what kind of pain you're experiencing, how often you're experiencing it, what kind of treatment you had. That's really the only way we can get close to getting you compensated to what it's truly worth. We could get you. There's firms out there that will put out a, a settlement offer to an insurance company and settle the claim and send you a check, but that's not going to be the real value of your case. The real value of your case is the kind of work that we do. We document like this. We make sure that our clients express everything they can. And when they don't, those are the conversations that we have to have today.
Yeah. And the point is to get you back to where you were before the accident. So
Right.
anything you need to do, obviously monetary compensation can only go so far. But if before the accident you weren't having trouble putting on clothes and now you are, well, then you need to get all the medical treatment that you can to get to that point. And then, if there's damages for pain and suffering, you got to make up for that too. That's really what it is. It's not about like, let's squeeze out every dime out of the insurance company because I deserve to get paid. No,
Right.
it's about getting you back to square one, which maybe you never will be, but let's try to get you there as close as possible.
Yeah. Remember to mitigate your damages. Thank you so much for tuning in, Mom. We've had a great time bringing you up. We do love you. We're not making fun of you. We adore you so much for everything you do. Other listeners, please subscribe and tune in. Well, hopefully you tune in every week. If you have any questions, there's something that you'd like for us to address, if you want to be a guest on the podcast, reach out to us. The website is www.theaagroup.com. That's THE alpha 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 GROUP.com. You could call us at 844 AAA 4 Law.
Or slide into the DMs.
Or slide into the DMs on social media, or leave a comment down here. Just don't cuss, please. And we'll get to you. I'd love to start doing some viewer related content. Miss you guys. See you soon. Take care. Take care.